It's Orsi, and it's going to be a quick recap of the pancake stretch, which is Upavista Konasana in yoga. So I demonstrate you the exercise, and I will explain the common faults and what kind of exercise I suggest to arrive to this posture. So yeah, let me turn forward. So that is it. Of course, it can be also performed with a little wider legs. So it's a hip hinge. You need to see that the back is not rounding when you are folding forward. The chest is reaching forward, and sometimes I even say to people to gaze forward, because the most common fault what you are seeing here is that people are pushing back here the lower back and they round over. Usually this is happening because of lack of mobility in the hamstrings, lack of activation in the muscles. It's easier to perform that stretch when you are opening a little bit wider the legs. So the closer you are having the legs, for example now it's kind of like mat width, the harder it is to hinge forward without rounding the back. So the first thing you will need to do to avoid that roundedness is to open at least as much that when you fold forward, you can touch both toe, but that's kind of the distance. Okay? So you don't want to round over, you always want to imagine like your chest is going forward like a magnet. I remember that a couple of years before, 5 or 6 years before, I needed to have blocks and hang in the position quite a lot with the use of blocks. So one of the ways to prop up this is that you place the blocks forward when you are already able of hinging, and you hang around here. That is of course for those who are capable of folding forward with straight back. So the position is more or less correct, it's not that profound. Another progression is to make like a tower under your chest and rest here and really hang around here for quite a long time. A progression which is maybe better for those who cannot hinge in the lower back, they are rounding the lower back, not so much the upper back, is to sit on something and even bend a little bit the knees when you fall forward. Now, only by performing the exercise with different progressions, I don't think that it's sufficient to get there. So you need to think of that this pancake, which is Upavista Konasana in yoga, so side angle position, it's a forward fold and it's a hip opening. So like every forward fold, it requires a lot of hamstrings flexibility from you. So you need to prepare this hamstring flexibility with basic standing exercises, and then you also need to prepare your adductor mobility with basic standing and seated exercises. So basic standing exercises would be, my suggestion, you practice the normal forward folds, knee, ankle, pelvis in the same line. You are taking blocks, lifting your chest, straightening, and then you are trying to lower. Normally, if you have a perfect forward fold, straight back, actually, I never seen that someone is able to do this and absolutely rounding in the lower back in the pancake. Second exercise I would suggest is, I think they call it in different routine pyramid pose. In yoga it's Konasana. So squaring the hip, both legs are hip distance apart, opening the chest, again this feeling that it's a magnet in your chest and you need to straighten the back and you stretch. with or without the blocks, for sure to both legs. And then finally, there would be the third standing exercise I suggest, is the wide leg forward fold, which is the most similar to the actual pancake pose. So it's again, you place knee, ankle, pelvis in the same line. I will show it from the side, and I will show what I'm often seeing. So I often see people doing this, that they are pushing their buttock way behind this line. And I want to see more like that all is falling in the same alignment. So you can use blocks, and then you can fall forward here. All right, so it can be performed a little bit wider legs than what I'm showing. And it's also a hip hinge. So you might going to hang around a lot here in blocks. And then progressively, you will always change the blocks to a different height. And at one point, you will end up sliding the arms closer, bending them, and lowering the forehead or the head. So this wide leg forward fold has different versions, but let's say it's enough. You practice one wide leg forward fold, one standing forward fold, and one of these pyramid-like posture. So you got your hamstring and your adductors a little bit already stretching. Then we have something we call Upavista Konasana B, or open leg rocker in Pilates. Now, that is a super important and very useful exercise, because this is the Pilates version when you are holding your ankles and you will lengthen one leg. You will bring it back and you will go for the other. If I am doing with both legs, it looks like this. If I do the yoga version, holding the toes, it's more straight with every part of the back. And it looks very similar actually. It's just that I have a yogic toe grip, I'm holding the toe. This is practically like a seated pancake with the legs up. Another posture in the same family is another side angle stretch. The feet together and the thighs rolled out, chest is open, and you try to lower down. This is what they call butterfly in many yoga, in many stretching routine. It's Upavista Konasana in yoga. So these two seated postures are very important, because that one is helping you to get your adductors a little bit open. You can perform this with the blocks underneath your knees, with something behind you, you push away, or with your elbows lowering toward your thighs and you just softly hinge forward. The other exercise, the open leg rocker or the Upavista Konasana B, is again something you will perform usually with modifications, because many times I see people just slightly extending their legs and they are actually feeling more the balance aspect of the pose. So if you practice already these two positions, seated, then let's add a couple more seated exercise and your routine is done. So a forward fold, which is easier, is this Janu Sirsasana, one leg against the thigh, you open your chest and you fold forward. For sure, you can have either elastic, either power circle, either a yoga belt. Same thing, you are bringing your chest forward and you hinge forward. You are going to repeat this to the other side as well, stretching your hamstring. I like the stretching version when the pointed toes are more accented. However, in many traditional routines, it's a dorsiflex feet. But for the sciatic nerve, some studies shows that this position, the pointed toes, is better, and you try to avoid rotating to the side and stretch forward. Good. So after you have done this, there is nothing else left. It's just that you do also lateral flexion. Oh, the microphone is just there. It's just inserting into my skin. It's very unpleasant. So let me do it to the other side rather. So you keep your shoulder in line with the ear and you stretch. The opposite hip is heavy. And release. And then, before you complete this stretch, you will bring your hands behind the head, hinge a little bit from the hip. Try to keep it straight, try to find those adductors lengthening. You might be just hanging around here and it's fine. And back. And then you take your legs and you fold forward. And when you are already arrived to this part of your routine, you remember what I was telling to you in the beginning. Choose your modification, but your pancake stretch should not be that you only do the pancake. Prepare it. Stretch your hamstrings out and your adductors out. The inner thigh and the back of your thigh need to be stretched for have this forward fold properly done. So I resume a little bit. Start with standing stretches, have a standing forward fold, have this standing pyramid-like stretch, have the wide leg forward stretch in a standing pose, add one butterfly pose, which is the Upavista Konasana, add one open leg rocker or Upavista Konasana when you're having the legs extended to the side, this way, the Upavista Konasana, add one forward fold of the Janusirsasana, and then complete the pancake stretch. So it's simple, it just takes practice and then it will come. Have a lovely day and see you soon.